Glad to talk with you again, Lisa. The first question is, why did you send that letter to lawmakers, and what do you expect will come from it?
Well, I think the main reason is because the hoax, the government shutdown, not swearing in people who support survivors is forcing more survivors to come forward. And as we rally together, we are getting stronger and we're gaining a greater understanding of what's really going on. Just the tip of the iceberg, but we're still learning more. And as we learn more, we want to keep fighting harder. So we're really putting that pressure on now.
Yeah. So you think the pressure will tip things in your favor to indeed have everything released? Do you expect that to happen?
No, we don't expect to have everything released. As you've seen, they're releasing a little by little, which is helping. We hope to have everything released, but we do believe it's going to take some time. But we are getting closer, as you can see.
Mm-hmm. And to that point, you make the distinction there that the House Oversight Committee has released more than 20,000 emails that the Epstein estate provided. It was done under subpoena. Much of the focus has been on the hundreds of references to President Trump, who denies knowing about the abuse. Has the information that you've been able to read and study about, has it revealed anything important? And if it's yes, how has it done that? And what do you want to happen next?
Well, 20,000 emails is quite a bit, but we've been going through them. And from what we've seen is pretty shocking. And a lot of the names that we have mentioned in the past few years are on them. And so there's quite a bit more information as you go through those emails and than what's released in the public. I do think the public and the media focuses a little bit too much on Trump, and where that is very necessary, there still is a lot to uncover in those emails that will come out shortly.
Lisa, are you feeling validated? You and the other survivors, obviously.
We actually are. We actually are feeling a lot more validated than we did standing on Capitol Hill a couple months ago. And we feel like we're making progress.
And you see now that the Department of Justice is now heeding Trump's demand to investigate Epstein's alleged ties to some prominent companies and Democrats, and that includes former President Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, former Treasury Secretary, Reid Hoffman, also in terms of companies, J.P. Morgan Chase, with whom Epstein did business. Some say this is just retribution or diversion from the focus on his ties to Epstein. Is that how you see it?
No, I don't see it as retribution or diversion. I believe the focus away from him as well as on him is what we need to look at other people alongside with him.
Is there anything you can attribute, though, to Donald Trump's calling for this? I mean, he has yet to release all the files, right? He has not supported that. So can you surmise a reason for which he's, going after the Democrats and big companies?
Well, I would just think that he has knowledge that they also have enabled Epstein, or they also need to be held accountable. So I believe there's something to it.
Do you or any of your fellow survivors with whom you talk about these things, do you have any firsthand knowledge about Epstein's relationships with either Donald Trump or any of those that he has named for investigation?
From what I know from the survivors, that there are many others besides Trump that they focus on.
When you say many, can you give me a ballpark number? Has anyone suggested numbers or named names to you that I'm not asking you to name, but is it 5, is it 10, is it 20, is it 100?
There's quite a few, I would say over 20, but you just mentioned a few of them. And the FBI has actually the majority of the names.
All right, joining me right now to talk more about these developments is Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury. She is a Democrat from New Mexico and a member of the House Oversight Committee that just released 20,000 pages of documents from the estate of Jeffrey Epstein. Congresswoman, great to see you.
Great to see you, too.
All right, well, do you think the House vote on releasing the full Epstein files will happen?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as far as we know, the Speaker is planning to bring that vote to the House floor on Tuesday. But I really want to emphasize that we have already subpoenaed these files, and the White House and Department of Justice have failed to comply with the existing subpoena, which has asked for the full unredacted files. And I have to say that this latest ploy by the president appears to be another stalling tactic. And we know that they were in a tailspin all week after the result of these estate files being released. And the American people are tired of the lies, the injustice, and the continued cover-up. And so it's time for justice. It's time for the release of the files. And it's time for Congress to take action to hold these people accountable.
So you mentioned there's already been a violation, in your view, as you just spelled out, of the White House not complying with the subpoena. So then what can you do?
Yeah, well, there are, legal means to go to a court to deal with compliance issues. But part of why this discharge petition vote is so important is because we know that the president is involved in a pressure campaign of members of Congress. And we think that he believes that if he can get enough Republicans to basically back him, that he can continue to bury these files. But I think we can see the cracks in that strategy late last night. As we know, the president went full bore attack after Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she revealed that she had been texting with the White House and the president himself, and that the reason why he is going after her and trying to make an example out of her is because of the Epstein files. And so this does not sit well for the American people. Our gut is telling us something is wrong here, and we know that the White House is engaged in a cover-up. And I believe that this will be as explosive as what we saw in Watergate, not just because of the crimes that are being covered up, but because of the cover-up itself. So
in your view, the White House's directive to DOJ launching this new investigation, I mean, how has this influenced your thoughts on what you had instinctively thought was behind the Epstein files, or perhaps what you now think is behind the Epstein files, and why Trump is acting so worried?
I mean, let me just say this. We have been engaged in an investigation for months in the Oversight Committee. We have talked to the survivors and victims. We have subpoenaed witnesses, including Alex Acosta, who was the DOJ prosecutor who refused to actually prosecute the original Epstein case that allowed him to continue to abuse people. And what you see when you investigate this case in depth is that there were thousands of crimes committed by Jeffrey Epstein and his associates, and he was never held accountable fully under the law. And literally all of the associates in his circle were never held accountable. What we saw in the emails released by the estate this week is that Donald Trump's name is named over 1,600 times just in Jeffrey Epstein's emails. We know that Pam Bondi told the president that he is in the files themselves. We know that Donald Trump was friends with Epstein for decades. We know that Donald Trump was potentially involved in financial transactions with Epstein, and we know that Epstein was involved in crimes. And so the question comes up over and over again, if there's nothing to hide, then why is the president engaged in such a clear cover-up and pressure campaign of members of Congress?
Do you think this is going to be a turning point for Republicans in the House? What might the costs be that they are weighing?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we have seen over the last 11 months is a, ongoing loyalty to the president and his agenda. And what I have seen over the last week since the explosive release of these latest emails is the fissures and cracks and the confidence of the president in the GOP. In fact, this morning I saw that one of the senators from Utah is openly calling for the release of the Epstein files. That was not happening a month ago. And so it is very clear that the Republican caucus in general is very worried, if not about the crimes themselves and justice for the victims, but the optics of being tied to the cover-up of a pedophile ring.
All right. Congresswoman, I wonder if you wouldn't mind if we pivot now to the aftermath of the U.S. government.
This new rumor isn't going to go away. And people are quitting on Trump and people are attacking Trump for this because, one, it's hilarious if true, but it's going to be more damaging among his MAGA base and among right-wing Republicans. This alleged story about Bubba, who may or may not be Bill Clinton and images that may or may not exist of a certain act of a certain nature where you might blow. You read the comments, you'll see what it is. There's a lot of people in the Republican movement, in the right-wing movement, in the extreme right conservative Christian movement who would rather support a grown man being with a young girl versus an act between two consenting men. Like, if the rumor is true, as scandalous as it is, and I guess that would be infidelity, right, and all that, but as scandalous as that is, that would be two men, both adults, doing something. Is it weird? Is it kind of funny given the politics and everything? Of course it is. There's a reason why everyone is talking about this story. How this is a new scandal. And remember, when you call something a scandal, I am not suggesting this is 100% factual. But it is nonetheless a scandal by how viral it is. Sometimes outright lies about people can become scandals. And this is, whether true or false, a now Trump scandal. But there's nothing inherently wrong about it in the way that the actions of Epstein and people who were around him were wrong. That's unambiguously wrong. This is just two dudes doing something, allegedly. So, what does that mean for MAGA? That one would bother them so much more. But this story is going to lead to people leaving, because there is a significant portion of the American right that would rather be around a monster like Epstein than between anybody that would do anything consensual with another man.